What if the elevator you ride every day isn't just steel and cables? What if it's a portal to somewhere? The fluorescent lights in the lobby flickered like dying fireflies as I swiped my security card. It was 11:47 p.m., and the only sounds were the AC's labored wheezing and the vending machine's metallic coughs from across the room. I'd been working at Metropolis Tower for 3 months, but this was my first overnight shift as a maintenance technician. The air smelled of lemon disinfectant and something sharper, ammonia maybe, or old blood. "Whatever you do," Jenkins had told me during the handover, his nicotine-stained fingers tightening on my arm, "stay away from elevator number 7. That thing's got a mind of its own." I'd laughed it off then. Urban legends thrived in old buildings like this. 1973 construction, 47 floors, enough rusted pipes and shadowed corners to spawn a graveyard of ghost stories. But as I pushed my tool cart toward the service elevator, a cold prickle slithered down my spine. Elevator 7 loomed at the lobby's far end, its stainless steel doors warping the emergency exit sign into a pulsating red wound. The intercom shrieked to life. "Maintenance to 23. Restroom flood. Now." I sighed and jabbed the service lift button. It arrived instantly. Impossible since I checked it 10 minutes prior. The doors sighed open, hydraulic pistons hissing like a nest of disturbed snakes. Inside glowed a perfect cube of light with mirrored walls that multiplied my reflection into endless duplicates, each one watching me with my own eyes. Then darkness swallowed everything. Not a gradual dim, extinction. The overheads cut out so abruptly my retinas burned with afterimages. Emergency lights should have ignited. Instead, I stood in absolute blackness, breathing in something coppery that clung to my throat like a film. "Hello?" My voice came out as a croak, swallowed by the void. The elevator lurched upward with a metal shriek, sending my tool cart careening. A wrench clattered across the floor, its echo bouncing into a dissonant chorus. I clawed for my phone, activating the flashlight just as the car slammed to a halt. The display read, 13. I stared, disoriented. Metropolis Tower had no 13th floor. Every New Yorker knew that. Developers excised it like a tumor. Floor directories leaping from 12 to 14 since the building's birth. The doors began to open. I flattened myself against the control panel, phone beam trembling. Beyond lay a corridor swallowed by decay. Wallpaper peeling in leprous strips, water-stained ceilings sagging like diseased skin. A single incandescent bulb dangled from frayed wiring, casting shadows that writhed when my gaze flickered. This wasn't part of the building, not anymore. From the darkness oozed a sound, wet fabric dragging over concrete, slow and deliberate. I mashed the close button, but it yielded nothing, just a dead plastic click. The dragging grew louder, accompanied by a staccato tap, 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 like a fingernail striking glass in some deranged rhythm. "Close," I panted, fist hammering the panel. "Close, goddammit!" The doors started to seal. Then something squeezed through the narrowing gap. Fingers too long and jointed at impossible angles, pale as fish bellies with blackened nails that scraped the steel like talons. I yelped and stumbled back as the doors violently reversed, metal groaning in protest. She stepped inside. I thought it was a woman, once. Her dress hung in gray rags, clinging to a frame so emaciated every rib showed through translucent skin. Matted hair obscured most of her face, but what peeked through was a skull-like mask with empty sockets that gaped like bullet holes. Worst was the stench, rot fermented in stagnant water, so thick it clung to my tongue, metallic and sweet. When she turned, I saw movement in those voids. Tiny white things wriggled just beneath the surface, like maggots trapped in wax. The tapping resumed. Tap, tap, tap. Her skeletal finger drumming her thigh. The rhythm burrowed into my skull, a parasite I couldn't dislodge. I couldn't look away as she tilted her head, as if studying an interesting bug. Then she spoke, voice like gravel ground between molars. 13. You shouldn't be here. The elevator plummeted. My stomach shot into my throat as wind howled past my ears. I tried to scream, but only managed to wheeze as the woman's mouth stretched impossibly wide, splitting her face to the jawline. Her teeth glistened like shards of yellowed glass. We stopped so suddenly, I nearly hit the ceiling. Doors flew open. I staggered out, collapsing to my knees on the lobby's marble floor. Fluorescents blazed cheerfully, as if nothing had happened. Elevator 7's doors were shut, display reading 1. I retched until only acrid bile burned my throat. Rough night? I spun. A security guard loomed behind me. Mendez, graveyard shift, perpetual coffee thermos in hand. His eyes held a mix of concern and knowing. I gasped. Elevator 7. It took me to 13. Mendez's smile curdled. He glanced at the elevator, then back at me, voice dropping to a growl. You saw her. I nodded, too shaken to speak. He dragged a chair over. Eleanor Grady, secretary here, 1977. Worked 14th floor. He sipped his coffee, steam curling around his words. Got stuck in 7 one August night. 3 hours. They pulled her out dead. He leaned forward, eyes glinting. Heat stroke, official report said. But the guys who pried those doors open swore she wasn't alone. Said there was someone else in there, someone without a reflection. I thought of the tapping, the empty sockets, the rot smell. Why me? Mendez shrugged. New blood? You laughed at the stories? Or maybe... He froze, staring over my shoulder. I turned. Elevator 7's doors gaped open. Eleanor stood in the threshold, closer now. Close enough to see the maggots writhing in her eye sockets. Close enough to feel her breath, cold as a crypt, carrying the tang of formaldehyde. Tap, tap, tap. 13, she whispered, and recognition hit like a fist. That was the intercom voice. Your turn. Mendez vanished. Lobby emptied, lights flickered madly. I tried to run, but my feet were cemented to the floor, muscles locked in primal terror. Eleanor advanced, dress dragging a trail of black slime that smoked where it touched marble. Doors closed behind her with a metallic thud. We were trapped. The lobby shrank around us, air thickening into something icy and suffocating. She reached for me, fingers brushing my cheek. Her skin burned like liquid nitrogen, leaving blisters in its wake. Help me, she said, voice suddenly soft, almost childlike. Please, I'm so cold. I stared, confused. This wasn't the monster from the elevator. This was a woman trapped in her own death loop. Maybe Mendez was wrong. Maybe she wasn't evil. What can I do? She smiled, and for a moment her face almost looked human. Pale, tired, blue eyes swimming with sorrow. Press 13. Let me show you. Every instinct screamed run, but something in her gaze compelled me. Maybe 13 wasn't punishment. Maybe it was a truth. I walked to 7, pressed the call button. Doors opened instantly. Eleanor stepped in. After a heartbeat, I followed. Display counted upward. 1, 2, 12, then flickered, settling on 13. Doors opened to a corridor alive with sound. Typewriters clacking, laughter, coffee machines perking. Wallpaper intact, lights bright. 1977 preserved in amber. Eleanor led me to a personnel sign. Inside, people sat around a table laughing. They looked up, smiling. Calendar on the wall, August 15th, 1977. Eleanor, a man waved. Friday's party, you in? She turned to me, young again, alive. This is where I was happy. But you died in 7. Her smile faded. Not from heat, from him. She pointed to a man in the corner, tall, thin, cold eyes, wearing my uniform. Carl Henderson, maintenance, liked me too much. When I said no, she swallowed. He rigged the elevator, locked me in, disabled the call button, left me there to cook. Carl's gaze locked on mine, narrowing. You shouldn't be here. This is my penance. I stepped back. 13 wasn't a floor. It was a prison. Carl's eternal punishment, reliving his crime. Eleanor wasn't trapped. She was the jailer. You can leave, I told her. Move on. She shook her head. Not until he feels it. The fear, the heat, the loneliness. She fixed Carl with a stare. 3 hours in the dark, Carl, remember? Carl shrieked as the room melted. Walls dripped wax. Air thickened into boiling soup. Laughter twisted into screams. I was back in the elevator, now with Carl. Temperature spiked. Metal walls blistered my palms. Carl clawed at the doors, howling, but they wouldn't budge. Emergency button crumbled under his fist. Just plastic. 3 hours, Eleanor's voice echoed, icy. Enjoy your stay. We plummeted. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for impact. When I opened them, I lay on the lobby floor. Mendez hovered over me, smelling of coffee. Fainted. Hit your head good. I touched the lump at the base of my skull. How long? Couple minutes. 23 still flooding. He nodded at my cart. You good? I stared at 7. Just a regular elevator. Maybe it was a concussion dream. Yeah. I fixed 23's leak. Loose pipe, easy fix. By 1 a.m. I was done. Riding down, I couldn't shake Eleanor's face. Carl's screams, 13's secrets. Mendez waited with a coffee. On the house. I sipped, scalding my tongue. He nodded at a framed photo behind me. 1977 staff, all young smiles. Back row, Carl Henderson, maintenance. Vanished week after Eleanor died, never found. I studied the photo. There he was, tall, thin, cold eyes. The same man from 13. Funny thing, Mendez said. Cops found nothing. Elevator logs clean. No signs of tampering. He checked his watch. Hour till shift ends. Cab share? I nodded, still staring at the photo. Then I saw her, Eleanor, in the front row, grinning. And next to her, in a maintenance uniform identical to mine, a young man with my face. Coffee cups shattered. Hot liquid soaked my shoes. Mendez frowned. You okay? I couldn't answer, my eyes fixed on the date, August 15th, 1977. Eleanor's death day, Carl's crime day, my birthday. Intercom shrieked. Maintenance to 7, stuck between floors. I froze. Mendez watched me. You gonna take that? I thought of Eleanor's living face, Carl's screams, the photo. Maybe I wasn't just a technician. Maybe I was part of the cycle. Sure, I said, voice steady. I pushed my cart to 7. Doors opened as I approached, revealing mirrored walls that multiplied my reflection into infinity. I stepped inside. Doors closed. Display climbed. 1, 2, 3. Stop. Lights died. In the darkness, the tapping began. Tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. I smiled. It was my turn. This is the end of tonight's story. Hope you enjoy. If you enjoyed this story, smash to subscribe. More stories delivered straight to your ears every full moon.